again, everybody. Thank you for joining us here for another episode of Cowboys Overtime on StarTelegram.com, brought to you by our good friends at Window Nation. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram columnist Mac Engel, also an aspiring Dallas Cowboys wide receiver. He's Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr., a man who knows everything about the Cowboys and apologizes for them as well. Clarence, first question right out of the gate. This is an adult question. So last night there was a concert at at Globe Life Mall in Arlington. Steve Miller, Journey, Def Leppard. What was the first concert that you can recall going to where you thought, oh man, I'm old? Because I went to that concert and everybody around me was like 110 years old. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm at that phase of life. What about you? What was the first show you went to? You're like, ooh.
The first one where I was
what was the first one you went to where it hit you? Like you were watching a performer from your youth who was still on stage making money and you're out there, enjoying it.
Well, I mean, I think that's different for me, and I like old school concerts. I mean, I went to see 50 years of hip hop. I mean, I enjoyed that.
I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know if it made me feel old. It made me remember my childhood. I don't know if it made me, when I think of concerts that make me feel old. When I took my daughter years ago to a Chris Brown concert. That made me feel old.
That's what I mean.
That made me feel old.
Yes.
Going to a concert of legends does not make me feel old. It makes me feel young again because I remember my youth and I remember the times and I remember the songs and where I was. So, I didn't ask you direct. I mean, that's how I spent it for me. I mean,
that's you answered Chris Brown though. And what do your daughters think of those old school performers that you grew up listening to?
They grew up, listen to old school. They like it. The oldest daughter likes some of the old school. My youngest daughter's getting into it. I mean, but it's all spliced in their current music as well. But growing up, they loved the old school Michael Jackson and all the other stuff I used to listen to and different things like that. And I always kept it on an old school station or whatever else. Because that's my kind of music, so to speak. But they have their tastes and they like the new school. They like some of the old school. They kind of get into it for sure.
Is there anything that because I was driving my daughter to a sports practice today and she's listening to some, garbage crap. And I just wanted to take an ice pick to my eardrums. It was so bad. Can you remember listening to anything that your kids were listening to? You're like, oh my God, make it stop. This is awful.
I'll just tell this story. When my youngest got in high school, she started putting things on her playlist in front of me that I knew she wouldn't put in front of her mom. Like, why are you playing this? I mean, listen, we're not listening to this stuff.
Are we talking like 4-letter words?
Yeah, all of that, everything. Everything. Like, listen, you're not. Don't get brand new because you're with me. Okay, stop. I don't want to hear it. Turn it off. I can't. Think about it. They have their own phone. You can't really. Back in the day, it was funny. It was a funny meme during the Olympics. So this guy posted about his mom said she loved Snoop Dogg. At the Olympics, and the guy posts, "Yeah, Mom, you remember when you made me throw all the Snoop Dogg albums away when I was a kid? And it just tells you how big
I saw that.
Then Snoop Dogg, kind of retweeted. But it was funny, how things come full circle. But yeah, I'm not trying to hear that. And like I said, we can't. Back in the day, you could control what your kids consume to a certain extent. But they had, you had to pay for the music, all of that. Yeah. But now they got their phones, they got all these. You really can't, especially when they get to high school. You can't control all the music and stuff they consume with TikTok and social media and everything else. So, but I'm like, just stop. I'm not listening to this. Hey, turn that off. Okay, we're not doing this. I'm not that cool. Okay, I'm cool, but I'm not that cool. I'm not that cool. We're not that cool. I'm not your little friend. Okay, I'm your dad.
Before we get into Dallas Cowboys talk, you and I both love the Olympics. I think everybody loved the Olympics in Paris.
Caitlin Clark fans, but that's a whole other story. But anyway, I'm sorry. Some of the Caitlin Clark fans.
Oh yeah. So when you look back on it, Olympics wrapped up on Sunday. Obviously, the United States won the most medals, tied for the most gold medals. But when you look back on this 2024 games. Give me your highlights. I'm curious to see what your highlights were of the games.
Oh man, there's so many,
Yeah.
and I think I don't know. We talked last week about the 1500 and obviously Simone Biles. I'm a track buff, and
did you know most of those guys coming in? Did you know most of the competitors? And did you have a decent?
I know most of them. Yeah, I keep up with it, and I knew the guy from Tobago was good. I didn't know he was going to, what he did not only in the 200 to beat Noah Lyles, but what he did in the 400, and again what Rob Benjamin did to hold him off. He ran a 43 split on that final anchor in that 4x4 was crazy. But I mean, we talked about the darlings of the Olympics, I think a little bit last week, and I'm a Gabby fan, but I don't know that anybody performed better than Sydney. She broke the world record.
She did it in a way. She was like Katie Ledecky on the track. You got these mile-long gaps between her and the rest of the world. Visually, it was incredible.
She broke the world record, and she on her 4x4 ran a 47 split. She could win the open 4x4. Open 400. She ran a 47 split.
Did you notice, Clarence, how some of those competitors, they all had different facial expressions? Like we made fun of Quincy Hall when he won the 400, like doing this and looked like he was dying. Sydney didn't even look like she broke a sweat.
No, she's a machine. Oh. No, she's awesome. Because I love Tara, the long jumper from Texas, and the men's basketball team, the women's basketball team. It's just so much that you enjoy and can feel proud of about your country, but not just about the Americans, but the other athletes. For sure. One lady won the marathon. She got medaled in the 5,000 and the 10,000 and the marathon.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the fatigue? Just after the 5,000, how tired you'd be. The 10,000,
10,000, and the finishing with the marathon.
I'm going to go run 26.2 miles. Let's just see what happens. That's just like AI. That's freakish. I can't imagine how tired she was. And she just went out and did it again.
Yeah. It's crazy. So yeah, that's so much there, and the joy about the Olympics was not just success stories, but some of the failures. The breakdancing. Come on.
Ray Gunn killed it. Ray Gunn was my favorite. She
was breakdancing.
Cultural professor from Australia who goes down and throws down the worst white dancing performance I've ever seen in my life. Now, I don't know if you've seen it. Like, it was awful. It was like, turn it off. Why did we do this? Is an awful idea. So then, I don't know if you saw it. It's viral.
Yeah, I know.
She did a performance in Paris, just, improv. And you watched it and you're like, that's pretty good. Like, where was this on the Olympic stage? Yeah. Like, this is good.
Look like a dead fish. Look like a fish flapping. What are you doing?
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo, fish, whatever it was. When she was lying on the ground, it was a fish. When she was doing this, it was kangaroo. Okay, it was crazy. Then you had the guy, the diver that had no business in the diving competition.
That's great.
And then you had the pole vaulter that kind of fought himself with himself.
There were worse problems to have. You know what I mean? He lost, but I think he won. I love the Turkish shooter. The Turkish shooter became a meme. Yeah, just so casual and nonchalant about it. Yeah. Steph Curry's 4 3-pointers to end the gold medal game. That last shot he took. I'm sure you've seen it. Steph Curry's cooking, and he's got LeBron wide open, and he's got KD wide open, and he's got 2 tall guys on him. He shoots over me. That's one of the most iconic shots I can remember seeing in a long time. That was just an incredible shot. Simone Biles defying gravity repeatedly. There's so many that the cyclists.
You got that. You got so many. I talked about Snoop Dogg, but and sadly, one of the indelible images we're going to see is how they're robbing Jordan Childs, and what they're doing to Jordan Childs is just unconscionable. That it makes no sense. They claim that her appeal was 4 seconds late, but they did it 5 days late. And now the U.S. has evidence that her appeal was not 4 seconds late. It was on time, but they say it's too late to mount that appeal. The second,
Just
I mean,
give.
it makes no sense.
None of it does. It's so, and it's one of the things about it. And you lived it because your youngest daughter was a gymnast. There are certain sports that can't get out of their own way. Figure skating, gymnastics usually are at the top of the leaderboard. They do some stupid thing that embarrasses themselves. All you have to do is give was she Romanian? I think she was Romanian. Give her the bronze. Like, just
no, they refused to share.
I know, and I'm like, that's the solution.
The Romanian said we'll share it. It's not a big deal. The IOC said no.
I mean, and who is the IOC? The IOC drives me crazy. Anybody who sits there, I mean, I could go down this rabbit hole for a month, but just give the girl her bronze. She got robbed. I mean, however you want to define it.
Well, yeah, she earned it. It's not like she didn't earn it. The scores were wrong. It was corrected. They corrected it in real time. Her scores were wrong. They weren't given. She earned that gold, that bronze medal. You know, if you want to give it to the Romanian girl, fine. But there's no way you should take it away from Jordan because she earned it. And so, you know, that's going to be one of the things. Remember, of course, the lake or the water or the river. They got everybody sick,
swimming in the toilet.
Yes, I mean, it's like,
and they spent like over $1 billion to clean that river up. And
imagine that you can't clean up something that's
a toilet.
Yeah, you can't.
A toilet that has open water and garbage coming into it. Yeah,
you've dirtied this thing up for years, centuries, whatever else. And over a year, you're gonna think you're gonna clean it all up, like it has an irrigation system, like the bad. Where's the bad water going? Where's the bad stuff going? Where's it going?
All right, we've had fun talking about this. Now let's get into the task at hand, and that is talking about, unfortunately, the Dallas Cowboys, who opened the preseason with a devastating loss against the LA Rams on Saturday in Los Angeles, or Sunday rather. However, we have more pressing issues to address, and that, of course, is the state of the quarterback's ankle. Apparently, Dak Prescott has a bum ankle again. Now, he's had his injury issues in the past. He's certainly a gamer, but an ankle injury is an ankle injury. He's had multiple surgeries on it. Clarence, should we be worried about this?
Yes and no. I mean, he's, has not missed a game with the ankle since having ankle surgery in 2020.
Sure. Yep.
By all accounts, it's something he's had to deal with and will continue to manage because it was a tragic injury. He has metal in there. It's not gonna, he's gonna know when it rains for the rest of his life. Okay, he's gonna know when it gets cold for the rest of his life. That's gonna be part of it. But now twice since July 4th, actually, when I had to work on July 4th because we saw pictures of Dak in a boot in Mexico.
Nothing to worry about.
This ankle is propped up publicly and been an issue. Now, I don't know how many times before it's been an issue that we didn't know about,
right?
But it's twice since July 4th that we've seen it be an issue. And, obviously he was ready for the start of camp, didn't miss anything. He missed practice today, first time he was in practice because of the ankle that I can recall since the injury. He should be back in practice today. They say it's not a big deal. He's fine. He's good to go. But these things just don't go away.
Great.
And when 55 to 60 million is on the line, it's something that has to be talked about.
Well, we have seen the Cowboys, much to their detriment, not be afraid of injuries while they give guys extensions.
We got paid the first time while he was still rehabbing. He didn't play the game.
Tank Lawrence got a big contract. Then he had surgery on his back. Yeah. That worked out. There are other examples, but do you think at all, I'm going to go with no, but do you think at all this status will affect the team's willingness to negotiate an extension with him now, or will they actually wait?
No, I don't think it will because the Cowboys are locked in. They're boxed in. They have
all in?
Well, they have to be all in because they have no fallback plan. As you saw so vividly the other night, Trey Lance is not a fallback plan. They have no fallback plan at quarterback. The
fallback plan is the draft.
Well, again, there's no guarantee that they'll be at the top of the draft to get
totally
a
agree. Lamar Jackson wasn't at the top of the draft, but I mean,
Lamar Jackson's on grown tree, and without due respect to Lamar Jackson, he's won no more playoff games than Dak Prescott.
That's a fair point. But but I mean, to your point, to this question is that we're week one's coming quick, and the closer you get, do you really have to do it? If you're not going to do it before week 1 and you think there's a chance this injury might really derail him in any way, why not just let it play out?
Well, I mean, because derailing could mean this year, derailing could be 2 years. I mean, if you're going to take a chance on him, you're going to have to commit yourself, because if say he goes through the season, you sign him to a contract, he gets hurt next year. The injury comes back up. So you can't really predict when it's going to prop up if it doesn't prop up this year as an issue. The thing about it is Dak is the one holding all the cards. Dak is the one, if he goes to injury free, he's sitting on a pile of money for agency. Well, so the start of the season is not the benchmark. I mean, they can sign him at any point from the start of the season, as long as they do it before March, so to speak, before he hits free agency. That's the real deadline for the Cowboys. But if I get to that point from Dak Prescott, I'm taking my chances on the market unless you give me something, unless you blow me freaking away.
Speaking of a player who is going to be blown away money-wise, we anticipate wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, who remains in a holdout, will receive shortly a crushingly large number that will forever change his life. He has yet to sign that extension. This has been kicked around for a while, and Cowboys owner Jerry Jones has sort of talked his way in and out of whether or not there's any urgency to do this. Clearly, as you've stated before, there's not, because they really get nothing out of him playing right now in preseason games and really doing much during practice. Jerry has said, it's okay. There's no urgency. Then he walked it back. No, it is urgent. We want him back here. Okay, it's fine. It's going to get done. Do you think that contract is going to come in the next week or 10 days?
I think it's going to come in the next week, 10 days, of course. But of course, I thought it would have come by now. But it's the thing about it is and I think Jerry was kind of taken out of context. First of all, Jerry, just pull back the curtain. Jerry told me last week, hey, we don't need CD out here. We don't want him getting hurt. Right. Like the young guys getting reps. That's not a big deal. Yes, they want to sign him to a contract. They said, we want CD. We want to sign him to a contract, but we don't need him out here in practice. If he's not going to play in the preseason, it's not a big deal. I'm not pressed that he's not here. Don't write that, he said, because CD is sensitive. And, this is personal for him. 2 days later, Jerry goes and tells the media, it's not urgent to get CD signed. And, of course, he's sensitive. He gets mad. He takes all the Cowboys gear off of his social media and everything else. Because Jerry can't help himself. He can't help himself. Okay? He can't freaking help himself. Okay?
Which one, CD or Jerry?
Jerry. Because, again, it's like with the Zeke Hoop thing. And this was, I wrote Jerry's Zeke Hoop moment. But this is personal for the players. And Zeke said it so eloquently a couple of years ago. Your first 4 years of your career, we love you, we love you, love you. We're great, you're great, great. You're doing great. We're all pro. We love you, love you, love you. Now you're across the table from them for the first time. And all that love is not the same because you're negotiating the contract. Yep. It's personal for you. It's business for Jerry. He's done 1 million contract negotiations. It's just another one for him, which is why he can laugh it off and say Ziku and say, it's not urgent. Why is it not urgent, Jerry? I don't know, because I went to high school. I went to college, elementary school. I don't know. I just said it because I say things. That's what he said. After he said it's not urgent. That wasn't put in the viral quote that went out that CD got mad about. He just says stuff. The Netflix cameras were there. He just talks and he makes everything the joke because it's not urgent for him because I know I'm going to get it done. I know I want to get it done. The Cowboys have never not signed a player that they wanted to keep. Never.
Done. I know we have to keep talking
and
about
so
it.
We know it's going to get done. It's just not done now. And I'm not pressed about it because I don't need to be pressed about it because I know it's going to get it done at some point.
The end. Okay, we've talked about this enough. We've got more to talk about here on Cowboys Overtime. But first, let's hear from our friends at Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no interest payments for 60 months, 5 full years. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thanks, as always, to Window Nation for sponsoring this and every other episode of Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. Clarence Hill is in California with the Dallas Cowboys, who are continuing on with training camp. I am not in California. Only a difference of degrees by about 500 between Southern California and here in Fort Worth, Texas. Okay, Clarence, you were tasked the enviable responsibility of attending the Dallas Cowboys' first fake game of the season, where they played the LA Rams at SoFi Stadium on Sunday. They come away a crushing 13-12 loser to Stetson Bennett, the former Georgia quarterback who killed TCU in the same stadium a couple of years ago in the national title game. Not so good against the Cowboys. He threw 4 interceptions, but clearly the other quarterback is the one we need to talk about. Not Cooper Rush. He started, looked red hot, went 2 for 3 or something like that. And then Trey Lance came in and played the rest of the way. Threw a lot of passes. Looked good on some plays, less so on some other ones. Did he do anything that made you say, well, maybe that guy's a backup quarterback, a number 2 quarterback in this league? I didn't see it. Did you?
No, and it's funny because I think the Cowboys are diabolical. Cowboys and Cooper Rush are diabolical. They opened with Cooper Rush on the opening drive.
Right.
With Cooper, just go out there and throw this 45-yard bomb, let everybody know who the backup quarterback is. Then you go sit down, okay? Throw this 45-yard bomb, let everybody remember who the backup quarterback is, you know. And I've said this many times. There's nothing to me that Trey Lance can do in 3 preseason games against backups that if something happens to Dak Prescott, I'm going to put him on the field instead of Cooper Rush, who is 5-1 in his career as a starter in place of Dak Prescott. Cooper's won real games.
Yeah. Big games.
Real competition.
And played well.
And so there's really nothing that Trey Lance can do. And it's not Trey Lance's fault. It's crazy to me that everybody's so focused on Lance because of where he was drafted.
Absolutely.
He was overdrafted, mistakenly drafted 3rd overall. 49ers gave up 3 first-round picks. So everybody got Trey Lance on the brain. This guy must be good. He must have something. And the problem is that Trey Lance, first of all, he's a nice kid. Okay. Very nice kid, respectful kid, decent athlete, you know, all of that. He just does not have enough time on task. You know,
not even in college.
He threw less than 400 passes in his college career.
Yeah.
He played 1 year quarterback in high school. He didn't grow up doing the 7-on-7s and all that other stuff. Played 1 year quarterback, threw less than 400 passes in his college career. Has 4 starts in the pros. He does not see it. He has not seen it. You know, you look at all the quarterbacks that came out in the draft last year, the kid from Washington's in Atlanta. Oh. Consider how many passes they throw, how many starts they've had, what they've seen. He has not seen any of it. And yes, he's a decent athlete. You know, he's not a next level athlete. He's a decent athlete. You saw some of that. You know, he has a decent arm, but his accuracy, his fundamentals, his footwork, all of that stuff continues to need work because he does not have a lot of time on task. And so you saw a mixed bag in the game. You know, he made some plays with his feet, missed a wide open touchdown. You know, the opening drive again, that was the difference in the game. Not the open drive, but his first drive.
Yeah,
you know, that was the difference in the game. And you knew that the Cowboys offense got the benefit of 4 turnovers and did not score a touchdown and lost the game because Trey Lance could not move the Cowboys down the field and get them in scoring range. And that's part of his inconsistency. That's part of who he is as a quarterback right now. Nice kid, you know, again, decent athlete, good arm. It's just not processing there. He needs time. I wish he could go somewhere like the UFL or
that's right. Yeah, he needs to play. He needs to play games.
Quarterback and see what you can develop. But to sit up here and say we're going to draw conclusions about whether you can beat out Cooper Rush this year, that's not happening. You know, the question is, can he possibly be an option to be a backup quarterback next year? That's what you want to find out. I don't know if you can find out out of the preseason game either.
No, I think what's going to happen with him is that his contract will obviously not. They're not going to pick up the 5th-year option.
Well, they haven't picked up the 5th-year option.
Well, okay, so that's done.
This is his last free agent. And that's the unique thing about it. All 3 quarterbacks in the last year of their contract.
Well, and he's not going to be here next year. And some team's going to give him a better shot to establish himself. When you said it, he needs to play games. And none of those guys want to go play in the UFL because they think they're above it, which, you know, I get. But the dude hasn't played enough football games. And he reminds me so much. Remember years ago, Cincinnati drafted Achille Smith out of Oregon. And Achille looks good. He really did, but he hadn't played enough. And when you're drafting these guys, The same thing happened. Who was the kid the Chicago Bears drafted out of North Carolina? Now he's the backup in Chicago.
Yeah, Mr. Trubisky.
Mitch Trubisky. You haven't played enough.
Yeah.
Like you've got to, if you're going to spend all this money and invest on these guys, you've got to have some evidence on whether or not they can play. Dak Prescott had played a ton at Mississippi State, and he had won a lot of big games
at a high level,
at extremely high level. You got Mississippi State's #1 in the country.
Right.
That's insane just to think about. But I think this thing is going to continue on, including on Saturday when the Cowboys go to Vegas to play the Raiders in a preseason game. A couple of the guys I want to ask you about. Mozzie Smith, the former first-round pick from last season, had some plays in the preseason game against the Rams where he actually looked pretty good. But what he looked like to me was, I don't know, a 20 to 25 play type of player. Now, maybe that's situational. I don't know how Mike was going to want to do that. But for the first time, and I know it's the preseason, so you have to temper everything. But for the first time, I saw a player who I thought, okay, maybe he can give something to an NFL team legitimately. Did you see that?
Yeah, no question. He had a good game. He's actually gotten better in camp and made some progress. And he's been coached hard and everything else. But he had a decent game. He needs to work on his conditioning. Yeah, he rehabbed most of the offseason, because of the shoulder injury. And so he's trying to get his feet under him and get his conditioning right. But yeah, he's going to be in a rotation. He's not going to be out there 60 plays or 50 plays. You want to be able to rotate him with some other guys and somebody else do that. But yeah, what they're asking him to do, he did a good job of doing what they're asking him to do. And the good news is the Cowboys now have linebackers that can fill and do things. He's going to occupy blockers, open lanes for linebackers to go and fill holes, make the tackle on the running back. But yes, Mozzie, the arrow was going up for Mozzie, and hopefully for the second-year jump because it was as low as it could get as a rookie.
Two other guys in the NFL who potentially, I would put this at the 10% at most range of being available, who are really, really good and would potentially fill a need for the Cowboys. So I'm going to ask you this. You got to have some fun with it. Hassan Reddick was a defensive end for the for the Eagles. He wanted a new contract. Eagles didn't give it to him, so they traded him to the Jets. Everything's happy. Now it's not. Now he's requested a trade from the Jets. Now you got another pass rusher up in New England, Matt Judon, who's about as good as they come, and potentially there may be an opportunity there. You addressed this kind of on Twitter yesterday or the day before. Is there a snowball's chance in hell either one of these guys, A, is going to leave their respective teams, and B, come to the Cowboys?
Well, I mean, why are they unhappy with their respective teams? Because they want more money. They want a new contract. The Cowboys ain't got CD signed. They still got to sign Dak. They got to sign Micah. There's no way they're going to sign one of these guys to a big money deal. These guys are not coming on the cheap. These are not bargain basement free agent signings. These guys want market value deals. It's just not in the cards. It's not in the cards. And I brought up Judon because Judon lives in Dallas. And I talked to him at the All-Star game. And yeah, he wouldn't mind being in Dallas. He wants his contract addressed, but he's been a great player, great pass rusher. Oh. He will look good opposite Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. If somehow you could get it done, maybe you could talk about it coming to Dallas on a 1-year deal and whatever else. I don't know. What do you give up for a guy like that? What is that worth? I know, but Hassan Reddick wasn't made. There's no way you're getting Hassan Reddick. You got to give up a major pick. They gave him a 3rd-round pick and give him a deal because, as the Jets find out, you don't trade for a player who wants a contract without signing him to a contract.
I couldn't believe when I read that. It's one of those details that I'd forgotten because it happened, a while back. And I'm like, you knew this guy wanted a new contract from the Eagles. Eagles are a better team. You acquire him for a decent pick, and you think he's going to be okay with it just because he's with the Jets and he's with Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, I couldn't believe they did it. And then it hit me. Oh, that's right. You're the Jets. And this is why you're the Jets. Okay. Last thing we're going to talk about. Every year, Forbes magazine comes out with its list of valuations of North American sports franchises. And for the last however many years, the Dallas Cowboys have been number 1, 2 with any of the other prominent sports franchises in the world, the Cowboys are right there at the top. Now, it's kind of a complicated formula how Forbes ranks these things, and it's a little vague, and it's just kind of subjective, and it's fun. But Forbes magazine has named Jerry Jones' toy the most valuable sports franchise in the world at more than $10 billion. I have
That's
a lot
billion with the B. That's billion with the B.
Not bad for a guy who bought this team on a massive loan back in 87 or 88, as he has been one of the most influential figures in the evolution of professional sports and monetizing every single aspect to it. Here's my argument. If I'm a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, this is nothing to be celebrated. If I'm a fan of the Cowboys, I'm mad at this because all they have done is reach into my pocket, squeeze and squeeze and squeeze harder with almost no ROI. Floor is yours.
Are you mad about the money? Are you mad about
brother? I'm always mad about the money.
Are you mad about the money? You know, it's funny, I tweeted, this is why Jerry Jones is not urgent. He still wins Super Bowls at the box office, still wins Super Bowls at the bank. $10 billion. Jerry Jones bought the team for $140 million. He will tell you the Cowboys are losing $1 million a day. And he turned this franchise around and flipped $140 million into $10 billion. And he's done this and continue to grow this team without winning a Super Bowl title, without even getting to the Super Bowl since 1995, a 28-year gap, and the money is still raining down in Jerry Jones. Why should it be urgent? Why should he, the thing that upsets fans is that the Cowboys are valued at $1 billion, but they're one of the lowest cash spending teams. And they continue to nickel and dime their players that they covet, and not get these deals done. You make all this money, you got all these headlines. Jerry loves his name in the headline. You love your name in the headline when it comes to $10 billion, but yet you're telling CD, it's only so much pie. I can't pay you, and I can't pay Dak, and I can't pay this. You got to take less because there's only so much pie. And I understand the salary cap thing, but it just doesn't come across when you're the richest franchise in sports, and you always talk about balancing the budget.
Well, one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons they're one of the most valuable franchises. And one of the reasons, as I said, is that Jerry was a visionary, legitimately, in monetizing everything. Everything was for sale. Everything could have a sponsorship. He recognized the value of owning the content long before anybody else did, instead of just farming it out to news organizations. And then that relationship, he started to say, well, wait a minute, I can make money on content too. That hadn't been done before. I think the thing, when you start mentioning Jerry, nickel and diamond, he loves to find a deal, always loves to find a deal.
He started the deal.
And yeah, right. He ends up looking like a fool anyways, like this Trey Lance thing. But to me, it's, are they spending to the cap? Or are they just, we've got all this room? Because if you've got room, go to hell. I mean, I don't want to hear about that. But if you spent to the cap and you're trying, then I'll give you. Then you're like, okay, then you did.
No, they are spending to the cap, but it's all creative accounting. But they're one of the lowest teams in cash spending, which with signing bonuses and all the other stuff. It just and the bottom line is no one will be mad about anything if they won on the field, but They're not winning on the field. So you have to nitpick what are they doing, and you're right now. You spend to the cap, but why is CD sitting out there? Why is he not in camp? Why have you not signed CD?
Only so much the pie, Clarence.
You were waiting for leaves to fall, and the big oak trees are falling all over, hit you upside the head, and you still ain't got the deal done.
All I know is this. I love that man. I've never, you've done this a little bit longer than me. I've never seen, and there will never be anybody like him.
No.
His ability to create headlines, stick his foot in his mouth, contradict himself. He can contradict himself in the same sentence. And he just keeps pushing through. And he does it with a smile and a handshake. And there's something about, I kind of respect that. I'm like, all right, that's a P.T. Barnum shtick. Kind of like it.
He loves it. And he's told us on so many occasions, I like stirring the pot. I like stirring the pot. I like stirring. I'll never forget in 2016, Dak Prescott, great rookie season, 13-game winning streak. Got the Cowboys at 13-3. Jason Garrett says Dak Prescott is our quarterback, and Jerry Jones just trots out to the media every game. I dream of a day when Tony Romo leads us to the Super Bowl. Do you? And that's headline. That's on Sports. And do you think your rookie quarterback, who's got enough pressure trying to lead this veteran team, needs to be looking at worrying about Tony Romo over his shoulder? But Jerry does not care that it's not great environment. It keeps people talking about the Cowboys.
That's all he cares about. He wants to. I think one of the biggest misnomers, and I try to dispel this to fans whom I converse with on email or anything along those lines, is, oh, Jerry doesn't care about winning. No, Jerry wants to win, but he wants to make money first. I think that's how.
Yeah, and as my mama said a long time ago, you can't serve two masters.
True that. And with that,
we got one more thing. We got America's Noob. That means he's a Kappa. You know, I'm a Q.
Okay.
America's Noob wants to know if the linebacking corps is as strong as they seem, or is there still more to be desired? So far, so good from the linebackers corps. First of all, you didn't bring up DeMarvion Overshawn just
because we've been talking forever.
And we talked about the game. DeMarvion Overshawn was a big bright spot, big time bright spot in that game. He looks fast. You know, they still have him on the pitch count because they had the knee injury last year. But when he's on the field, he's been great. He looks like the real deal. Eric Kendricks, so far so good. He's been very good at linebacker. Looked good against the Rams last week. He's kind of the guy that's teaching the Mike Zimmer defense. They have real linebackers playing linebacker, unlike last year. And so, you know, obviously,
linebacker?
Huh?
You mean last year when they had safeties playing linebacker?
Yeah, they had safety defensive back playing linebacker, and that safety that played linebacker, Marquise Bell, looks great at safety. He had an interception, you know, against the Rams. So they had two. He looked good filling the run and being a good player. It's gonna be hard keeping him off the field at safety. But you know, the linebackers, you know, I'm not saying this is the second coming of, you know, one of the great, you know, you got Lawrence Taylor, Ray Lewis back there, linebacker. But I'm saying that from last year to this year, the linebacker is positioned as 100% better.
So what you're saying is, and I think this is the big one as a Cowboys fan, is that something, because we saw it last year, that was an area where other teams deliberately attacked and crushed them. Yeah. Like, I mean,
they ran the ball against those, you know, they're playing two tight ends. You got three safeties out there. You got a small lineup. They run up against your small sets. You know, that's not going to happen this year.
All right. This has been fun. Clarence, enjoy the weather. Enjoy Las Vegas. I might send you a tip or two on how to lose some money. Thank you very much, Window Nation, for all of your Cowboys coverage needs and to read me. Check us out on StarTelegram.com. We will see you next week.